what's going on with Instagram. And if you're completely unaware, Instagram is limiting political content. So we're going to understand why. We're going to look at some media articles because that's what we do here on my channel. That's all about media literacy, digital literacy, as well as political literacy. So, Instagram's limiting political content. Here's how to get around it. You can retain political content on your feed. Some would say, why are you up in arms about it? It's not that deep. You can still get around it. Hmm, why remove it? Questions that we should ask, answers we will never get directly. Okay, so you will go to your suggested content and you will see right there by default, it will say political content is limited. Let's zoom in on this baby so you can see what I'm saying. Right there, it says it's limited and you want to go across into that. So you click that little arrow baby there, and then you want to go to don't limit. So that way you'll still get your political content. Meta's also been moving away from news related and political content for a while now, with concerns about the spread of misinformation, disinformation, and extremism on platforms like Instagram. The change is complicated. Election season is coming for the world's largest democracies, and this appears to be Meta's way of limiting rampant misinformation. Let's go again. The change is complicated. Election season is coming for the world's largest democracies, and this appears to be Meta's way of limiting rampant misinformation. Instagram is defining political content as likely to mention governments, elections, or social topics that affect a group of people and or society at large. So hang on a second. So are we saying then that sort of like there won't be any sort of political campaign material at all? What if you had allowed it sort of to stay at limited? Would you still somehow get some sort of campaign material from a political party sort of find its way in, like from underneath? No, Christiana Silva, okay, says social media sites have been rife with misinformation and disinformation during past elections. It seems Meta's response to these egregious mistakes is to make political content rarer on its platforms. Isn't it interesting the language that's used to make it rarer? So it's rare. You mean just stop people from seeing content that you think is informing them in the direction that you would not like them to go in? But as critics have pointed out, social media giants are also crucial for providing information, keeping communities engaged, for letting users know what is actually affecting people globally. Instagram has been flagged for shadow banning vital information about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, for example, and people are now expressing concern that posts about issues affecting marginalized groups will be eclipsed on the platform. And as several outlets have noted, the language around around what Instagram defines as political is also vague. Where else have we had vague information? Um, which means these limits have the potential to affect content about women's rights, climate change, race, and LGBTQ issues. Next article is, but this is from Lifehacker, okay? And it says the same, and it's telling you um, how to stop them from removing political content. And it says how this change affects you. So let's go to this little paragraph right here, right now, right? Instagram has been talking about distancing itself from news and political content for some time now, and this change cements its stance on the subject. The company says that if you follow political accounts and service, you'll be able to view their content on your feed, but it won't recommend these posts if you don't follow the accounts. So you won't get political content recommended to you as you might get a hamster video That's interesting. This will affect certain accounts much more than others. If someone has been providing valuable information from a conflict zone that could be hidden from a large number of people who'd benefit from seeing it over time, algorithms could easily hamper disaster relief efforts in situations where there are funding requests for humanitarian aid or for rescue operations. Operations. At the moment, it's also unclear if this move will reduce the spread of politically motivated disinformation, such as propaganda, anti vaccine messages, or other types of unscientific rage bait. Guys, rage bait. Ooh, unscientific rage bait. Have you heard rage bait before? So, can I just put it up on screen? Because I feel like it needs its own little applause. I like rage bait. I mean, I don't like it, but Threads isn't for news and politics, says Instagram's boss. Oh, really? Is that right? Is that right, boss? Boss man? Adam Zura. Adam Zura ran Facebook's newsfeed in 2016, and now he tells Alex Heath, this is on TheVerge.com, that politics and hard news aren't worth the scrutiny, negativity, let's be honest, or integrity risks. How delightful. Instagram's new Threads app is not going to do anything to encourage politics and hard news, Instagram boss Adam Zer said in a Threads conversation with the Verge's Alex Heath. The additional scrutiny, negativity, and integrity risks that come with politics and hard news aren't worth the incremental engagement or revenue. There are more than enough amazing communities, sports, fashion, music, beauty, entertainment, etc., to make a vibrant platform without needing to get into politics or hard news. Missouri's strong point of view here is likely informed by his time running Facebook's newsfeed. So basically, let's just have you distracted, shall we? Folks, let's just have you distracted. There's no need. There's no need to inform you in any way. What good would that do? It would not do any good. Informing you might empower you, you could argue. The Instagram boss later clarified his initial response, stating that while Threads won't discourage or downrank news or politics, it won't court them as Facebook has in the past. If we are honest, we were too quick to promise too much to the industry on Facebook in the early 2010s, and it would be a mistake to repeat that. Isn't that interesting? We've learned, and this is what works. And, instead of giving people information, let's just entertain them. And, if we were honest, we gave them too much. Okay, too much information, too much empowerment, and now we just want to pull it all back because we saw what happened when we gave them too much information. They became too big for their boots. Okay, I've got the Stormzy song in my head. Too big for your boots. Okay, while Threads is assuredly a take on Twitter, a platform tying itself in knots under new ownership, Missouri is apparently thinking much bigger, following along with his boss Mark Zuckerberg's statement about finding a clear path to 1 billion people. What you on about, mate? What you on about? And Ingram Snake is in the comments. Here, we will give you sexually explicit content to your heart's content. Oh, you want politically sound content? No luck. Quite right, Ingram Snake. Quite right. So, this is what Zuckerberg said about finding a clear path to 1 billion. No. Missouri said the goal isn't to replace Twitter. I can't do Missouri kind of impression, but let's just make it a bit douchey. The goal isn't to replace Twitter. The goal is to create a public square for communities on Instagram that never. Why do I sound like I'm from like the 90s, like some pop band? But anyway, from the UK. Anyway, the goal is to create a public square for communities on Instagram that never really embraced Twitter, as in never really wanted an opinion. Okay. and for communities on Twitter and other platforms that are interested in a less angry place for conversations, but not all of Twitter. So we don't want you to be angry. We don't want you to have emotions. If you have emotions, you might feel something, you might do something, you might feel powerful. We don't want that to happen, do we, folks? No, no, no. Don't want you to have strong emotions that might nudge you to act like not vote for somebody or protest or boycott. Okay, Threads launched on Wednesday. This is back in the day, right? Back in the day now. It's bloody ages ago. Threads launched on Wednesday and has proven to be a big hit. It already surpassed 70 million signups, but the vibe so far is decidedly not like you might be familiar with from Twitter. It is beige as it is so beige. It's so dull. I try with it. I really try. I'm like, no, Serena, you're gonna reply to somebody, and then if you reply, and then I see these really douchey posts. I'm sure I replicated one of them. It's like, and a message to the algorithm. I am looking for empowered people, self care. Like I love self care. I love empowered people as well. But I'm looking for all of these things like books, worms, soil, blah, 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 like all of the keywords, and then people are rushing in the comments. And it just so happened that that person who posted happened to already be an established influencer. And of course, they were going to get loads of messages. Okay. So Alex Heath said, is that because you don't think those verticals provide value relative to the others, the historical company baggage with news, mix of both? Missouri said, politics and hard news are important. I don't want to imply otherwise, but my take is from a platform's perspective. Why is he a Cockney pop star? Um, my any incremental engagement or revenue they might drive is not at all worth the scrutiny, negativity, let's be honest, or integrity risks that come along with them. Imagine if Missouri was a Cockney pop star. There are more than enough amazing community. Okay, we know the quote. We know the quote. Still, The Verge says, it seems inevitable that politics and news will trickle onto Threads. Of course it will. No shit, Sherlock. In some way, especially if politicians and journalists use a platform during the 2024 presidential election cycle. And it's not just a presidential election cycle. Hello, there's going to be an election in the UK too, and across the nation, not the nation, international landscape. Okay. And Instagram is working on a feed just for people you follow and a chronological feed, which at least for me should make Threads a much more useful place to find news. But it sounds like Instagram won't be going out of its way to make Threads what Twitter once was. So don't get your hopes up for some kind of thread deck. Rage bait thread deck. More phrases. Rage bait thread deck. We're on to the next one. This is from theconversation.com. Are you ready? Gladiator ready? Okay, let's go. Let's go. So the conversation says Instagram and Threads are limiting political content. This is terrible for democracy. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Meta's Instagram and Thread apps are slowly rolling out a change that will no longer recommend political content by default. The company defines political content broadly as being potentially related to things like laws, elections, or social topics. Users who follow accounts that post political content will see such content in the normal algorithmically sorted ways. But by default, users will not see any political content in their feeds, stories, or other places where new content is recommended to them. For users who want political recommendations to remain, you've got to go do the thing that I told you at the start. This change not only signals Meta's retreat from politics and news more broadly, but also challenges any sense of these platforms being good for democracy at all. It's also likely to have a chilling effect, stopping content creators from engaging politically altogether. Politics dislike. Meta has long had a problem with politics, but that wasn't always the case. In 2008 and 2012, political campaigning embraced social media, and Facebook was seen as especially important in Obama's success. You know, he follows me on Twitter, and I have no idea why. for years, for absolute years. But maybe it's when I had the Life Vocabulary podcast. I still have it, as in I create content on that channel from time to time. But because I used to do quite a lot of conversations with creators and producers and that kind of thing, I don't know, maybe his team's like, oh, this is like a normal person, a safe person to follow. And you're still following me, Obama. But anyway. So it was especially important in Obama's success. The Arab Spring was painted as a social media led Facebook revolution, although Facebook's role in these events was widely overstated. However, since the spectre of political manipulation in the wake of the 2018 Cambridge Analytica scandal has soured social media users towards politics and platforms, I don't think you're soured in any way. I think you're quite happy to still get your political content from social media platforms and then you'll verify it through the usual means that you do, i.e., your WhatsApp groups, your chat groups, your conversations around the table, your conversations with people as you come and go, and then maybe a little bit of news and maybe a little bit of an article. And then eventually you kind of crystallize all of that and make up your mind. I mean, that's how we're doing it in an informal way. If you want to go through a formal verification process, then you can employ that as well. There's all kinds of fact checking devices, but someone's going to say, no one's got time for that. Well, if you're not going to make time for fact checking what you're consuming, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. What are your hobbies? You must have incredible hobbies to not allow you to have the time. I want your hobbies. Increasingly polarized politics, vastly increased and disinformation online, and Donald Trump's preference for social media over policy or truth have all taken a toll. That's not me. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. This is the article, okay? In that context, Meta has already been reducing political content recommendations on their main Facebook platform since 2021. Instagram and Threads hadn't been limited in the same way, but also ran into problems. Most recently, Human Rights Watch accused Instagram in December last year of systematically censoring, this is 2023, systematically censoring pro-Palestinian content with the new content recommendation change. Meta's response to that accusation today would likely be that it is applying its political content policies consistently. How the change will play out in Australia. On Australia, notably, many Australians, especially, no, I can't do it, you're flaming galah, especially in younger age groups, find news on Instagram and other social media platforms. Sometimes they are specifically seeking out news, but often not. Not all news is political, but now on Instagram, by default, no news recommendations will be political. The serendipity of discovering political stories that motivate people to think or act will be lost. Combined with Meta recently stating they will no longer pay to support the Australian news and journalism shared on their platforms, it's fair to say Meta is seeking to be as apolitical as possible. Well, let's see. Well, let's see if that happens. Let's see. I mean, I think you could argue that if you're suppressing one sort of batch of political content more than you are another, you're taking a political stance. What do you think? I'm getting little notifications from somewhere and I don't know where it is. I feel like it's on my Rumble. Is it on my Rumble? Is it on another channel that I have opened? Which I better close some windows just in case someone's listening to me. It might be my Twitch. I don't know. So isn't that an interesting sort of like way to see it as well? You they are trying to be apolitical, but they'll be quite political in who they choose to suppress. You need people to kind of dig in a little bit more into all of this. That's why I make this content. And question it and make fun of it and have a little bit of a conversation and a chat about it. The social media landscape is fracturing, says theconversation.com. With Elon Musk's disastrous Twitter rebranding to X and TikTok facing the possibility of being banned altogether in the US. What I'm going to talk about in the next stream. I'm going to talk about TikTok in the next stream. Meta appears as the most stable of the big social media giants. I've got some stuff to say about that in the TikTok stream. You have to join that one. But with Meta positioning Threads as a did you know TikTok has a photo app planned? No, 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 not Lemonade. That is kind of dead right now. It's called TikTok photo. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in the TikTok one. Okay, but with Meta positioning Threads as a potentially new town square, while Twitter X burns down, burn it down. It's hard to see what a town square looks like without politics. The lack of political news combined with the lack of any news on Facebook may well mean young people see even less news than before and may have less chance to engage politically. What's Snapchat doing? Who owns Snapchat? Tell me now. Is it China? Is it China? Who owns Snapchat? Is it like a San Francisco bro? Where's Snapchat? Enter Snapchat. Because the youngins are using it a lot. Enter Snapchat, please. In a thread discussion, Instagram head Adam Zeri. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh no, I already said the quote. I already said it, but can I say it again? Because it was just fun to do like a pretend Adam Zeri voice, like a Cockney pop star from the 90s. Politics and hard news are important. I don't want to imply otherwise, but my take is from a platform's perspective, any incremental engagement or revenue they might drive is not at all worth scrutiny. Negativity, let's be honest, or integrity risks that come along with them. I think I need to watch some videos of Missouri actually talking, and then perhaps I can mimic his accent instead of giving him a fake one. So, like for Facebook, for Instagram, and Threads, politics is just too hard. Blah, blah. A chilling effect on creators, The Verge says. No, theconversation.com says. A chilling effect. What is a chilling effect? Okay. Instagram reminded content creators their accounts may no longer be recommended due to posting political content. Oh, we're being apolitical, are we? But we're going to tell you, creators, if you post political content, you're out of here. Go on, sling your hook. Seriously, out of my pub. That's what you're doing. If you, who creates videos about the beach and life on the beach, okay, and not being a beach, suddenly start to post content about politics, we're not going to recommend you, because please stay in your lane. Don't be multifaceted. Don't be all these things. You just stick to the beach, you beach, okay? Please. So that's what they're saying. They're saying is if creators start posting political content and that's not their niche, they won't get recommended. How just in your face. Okay, how in your face? If political posts were preventing recommendation, creators could see extra posts and choose to remove them. Content creators live or die by the by the platform's recommendations. So the implication is clear: avoid politics, avoid having an opinion. Remember, come back to it's a good thing, it's not a good thing, it's a bad thing. Come back to just your simple entertainment, stupid nonsense, trolley, meme, gif type videos. Like that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Oh my dear. It's just so transparent, isn't it? Let's take a swig. Creators also spend considerable time trying to interpret what content platforms prefer, building algorithmic folklore about which posts do best. While that folklore is sometimes flawed, Meta couldn't be clearer on this one. Political posts will prevent audience growth and thus make an already precarious living harder. That's the definition of a political chilling effect. For the audience who turn to creators because they are perceived to be relatable and authentic, the absence of political posts or positions will likely stifle political issues, discussions, and thus ultimately democracy. It's going to stifle you as a person, as a creator. You can't have an opinion. You can't take a stance on a community issue. Is that then going to be deemed as political? You know, how many artists do we know are actually taking a stance on community issues, or perhaps they are activists? Artists are activists. I need to check the chat. I forgot to check the chat. My bad. For real. Avocadorable. Avocadorable. I love your handle. I love your handle. But isn't that true? So basically, don't have a personality, don't be multifaceted, don't have an opinion. Stick to sports, stick to tea, stick to influencers, stick to flipping waist trainers, stick to football, stick to soccer, stick to like all of these things that just keep you numb. Okay, they keep you numb and they keep you distracted. Okay, and Avocadorable agrees with me. Whatever you say is correct. Are you being sarcastic? Are you for real? For real? I appreciate that though. I do appreciate that. So back to the article. Back to the article. Oh, you finished. Next one. Next one is a Guardian piece. Okay. Right? It's the Guardian. I'm sorry, you know, might not be a fan, but we're just looking at all articles because that's what makes us more media literate. You get me though. Okay, so split screen again so you can see my silly face and hear my silly voice and make it all connect like that because we're so connected. So Instagram users, this was published when, let me just quickly check the date, just a couple of days ago, 23 days ago, 26th of March. It's already the fucking 26th of March. Okay, sorry. Shouldn't swear. Shouldn't swear. Doesn't suit you, Serena. Be a lady. Be a lady. Instagram users to see less of what Meta deems political content unless they opt in. Nah, for real, for real. Thank you, Avocadorable. Can I be super cheesy and just do that? You can't see the thumbs because they're in my sweater. But yeah, it's cold here and I'm still recovering from this cold, but it's all good. So Instagram, right, uses to see less of what Meta deems political content unless they opt in. Okay? Right now, as I get into this article, if you haven't already, guys, click the like. You know what to do. Smash that button, smash it, subscribe, follow for more videos. So, Meta, Instagram users to see less, right? The change to Instagram and Threads comes as the parent company also prepares to retire the news tab from Facebook in Australia and the US. Retiring the news tab, we don't want you to be informed at all. Ingram Snake, dab. Is it dab? Spud. My bad. I've smashed the button. My screen. It's broken. Thank you. um, Spud. Is it Spud? Dab? Spud? Whatever. I do that with my nieces because they're so cute. And then my teenager gets jealous. Anyway, so there's no more news feed. It's being retired. They really don't want you informed. So Instagram users will see less of what Meta deems to be political, blah blah. We've covered this, we've covered this, we've covered this, we've covered this, we've covered this. We've covered Instagram, threads, we've covered it, we've done it. Okay, however, a study during the 2020 US election found that changes to the algorithm did not change people's political perceptions, including a change that reduced the amount of political news people saw on the platform. The Instagram change is the latest in the shift from Meta to disconnect its services from political and news content. Know that. Companies also preparing to retire the news tab. Know that. The news tab will be retired. We know that in Australia and the US first. Hang on. In early April. In early April. Okay. The Albanese government is now in the process of determining whether to designate Meta under the 2021 News Media Bargaining Code, which would force Meta to enter negotiations with publishers to face fines of up to 10% of Australian revenue. Meta argues currently less than 3% of what users engage with on Facebook is news content. So if that's the case, what's the problem? If that's the case, what's the problem? If it is just 3%, what's the problem? Why is it such an issue? Because we know what's going on. They don't want people to be mobilizing against things that don't want people mobilizing against them. It's so obvious. It's so transparent. And if we just continue, "Oh, okay, doesn't matter. Oh, I'm not gonna get any new stuff anymore. Alright, I'll just carry on. I'll carry on just looking at my videos about Dubai or Fortnite." I'm not cussing anyone who plays Fortnite or who goes to Dubai, but seriously, like, what this is saying is people are just gonna be quite, it suggests that people won't bother doing their due diligence and actually go into their settings. And if they're able to do this and limit it by default, if they're able to do this, we were already pretty sort of like side eyeing the algorithm anyway. What is it showing us? What is it showing us? I'm gonna do a stream. My next one is on TikTok. I'm gonna go in right now. I'm gonna go in right now. Are you ready for it? Are you ready? Let me set up my articles for the TikTok screen. Screen. So I'm gonna look at an unheard article, why we mustn't ban TikTok. The West's China hawks have their own agenda, and then also look at an Al Jazeera piece dissecting the TikTok problem. I think it's going to be worthwhile. So I'll stop. I'm going to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Let's talk about TikTok.